Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to wrap up this week's theme of unexpectedly heavy, looking at songs from artists that you just wouldn't expect them to go as heavy as they did. Today, we're going to be checking out Sum 41's I Don't Need Anyone from their recent Heaven Cross Hell album, which is a double album, which could present why someone might find this a bit unexpected. Sum 41 is very well known for their pop punk songs and their punk tracks from earlier in their career, which is what the Heaven album of this double album covers. However, later into their career, especially with their last couple of albums, especially Screaming Bloody Murder, they went to a more heavier metallic side of playing, which is what they wrote for the Hell side of this double album. And if you're only familiar with some of their punkier stuff, this might be unexpectedly heavy. Now, I have listened to this double album. I've been looking forward to it for like a year and a half. It was supposed to at one time come out sometime last year, and then it got pushed back and pushed back. So I have listened to it. I was really stoked to check it out. I'm pretty sure I listened to it the day it was released. But that was a couple weeks ago, and there's something like 20 songs on the double album, so I don't necessarily remember all of the details of this track. It will be a bit of a refresher for me, and I don't know. Let's dive into it, see what's going on. I guess technically this isn't a first time reaction, but it's still fresh enough that there are some things that might surprise me in it. Let's dive in. Oh yeah, it's this one. Okay. Yeah, really strong bass presence, which is cool. There's a really sick guitar solo later on too, so yeah, opening up for a really big chorus here. Very catchy. Back to the groove. I don't think I've noticed that drone back there before. Love the drumming through all this. Iterative but efficient. Does a great job at providing a groove through the whole verse chorus grouping. I don't remember this though. Simple build up works. I love that rising third idea. Yeah, using an expansion of the same build-up they had to move into the solo to lead us back to the chorus. Cheeky little ending there. Yeah, if you enjoy that, the 9 or 10 tracks that are on the Hell side of this album are all very similar. Um, it's definitely some 41's heavier side. Also, I recommend checking out Screaming Bloody Murder, which is a good one. And Chuck has a couple of songs on this side of things. Chuck is also very not pop punk like some of the early stuff is. Chuck to me was one of their big turning points, I think, in sound. Um, yeah, let's dive into some of what's going on here. I think it's going to be a quick little video. We have the verse, which is a bit groovier. We have the bass at the low end, giving us a little bit of syncopated rhythm, but really not a lot. It's just this consistent movement on the bottom. We have the vocals on top, giving us this really nice pitch interval between the bass pitches and the vocals. We have the drums giving us a steady groove in the background. And eventually this lends to the back half of the first verse where the guitars come in. We also see this at the back half of the second verse, building off of what the bass is doing and bringing in a nice guitar riff to sit on top of all that. However, in the second verse, I don't remember this in the first one, and I don't remember this from my first listen a couple weeks ago. There is a synth drone, just a single note that exists on that verse. And maybe it's there after the guitars kick in too, but they just fill up so much space and they're so loud that they overpower it. But yeah, that was interesting. And it also sort of provides a little bit of foreshadowing to the beginning of the bridge, which has a little bit of a synthy digital sound to it that I also didn't remember. I had mentioned earlier in that reaction, there's going to be a solo later. That's all I really remembered out of the bridge. And so the intro to the bridge was a bit of a moment I didn't remember. What do they call a surprise? It was a bit of a surprise. That's what the phrase was supposed to be. My brain was just like, "What's that S word?" Uh, so, anyways, we have this verse chorus, right? Or sorry, we have the two verses. Start with lower energy, build up the energy, and this build up takes us into the chorus, and the chorus is large. I think it's really interesting to listen to the difference in width between the verse and the chorus. Um, if you want on your own time, go back, go to the verse, right? Go to the middle of the verse, right when the guitars kick in. Listen to that area a little bit, and then skip ahead to the chorus. And I think you'll find that the chorus just sounds so much larger when they're put back to back like that without the one or two beats transition into it. And when you just put them back to back, the chorus is massive compared to it. Even though volume wise, pretty sure they're the same. Instrumental wise, it's all the same too. I don't think the guitar tones really take on any different tone or anything like that. It's just bigger. I think there's more layers there. I'm pretty sure we move from what sounds like a single vocal track. It might be a second track as well, just very closely done. And we move to something that sounds as if it's maybe 3 or 4 tracks for the vocals. There's harmony in there. The different vocals are also positioned out from center, so it takes up a little bit more room. The guitars are pushed a little bit further out to the side. I think they're just given more body as well to fill in the space that they've been pushed away from center. It's just a massive section. And of course, compositionally, it is all chords. That's all it is. We have a little bit of cool syncopation coming from the instruments at the end of every phrase. We have a hit on 4, and then the and of 4, and then not a downbeat on 1, kind of giving us a little bit of this anticipation at the end of the phrase as we repeat it. But otherwise, it's pretty much just straight eighth notes in there on the chords. The drums are giving us quarter notes in every other beat. Really rigid rhythmic ideas with some occasional syncopation to it. It's just about this driving forward momentum. And that's our verse and the chorus, right? We have potential energy that explodes into kinetic energy, and then we return back to potential. It's just the typical back and forth the metalcore does really well. This takes us to the bridge, which is all about the build-up. We have a little bit of some anticipatory digital sounds. They're very electric. They have this energy to them, like they're ready to go somewhere. It's all the fuzz and distortion on the tone itself. And then of course we have the rhythmic buildup, the guitars, the bass, the drums, they all come in. and we have this this eighth note idea building up into the guitar solo, and it is just, to me, it's tasteful. It starts out a little slow. We get a couple of bends, moves into some shredding. The shredding turns into, once again, a couple of bends, and then it sort of takes us out of the guitar solo. We have a note that I think slides down the neck. Anyways, the pitch sort of drops a little bit into that same rhythmic buildup we had to move into it, except this time we expand it past where we were to move into the guitar solo, and we go into a full-on drum fill that takes us back to the chorus. And I really love this. They're utilizing the same build-up section that they did to get to one section to transition to the next one, but they take it up another notch. Where we were at stage 1 and then stage 2 of it, now we do stage 2 and then a brand new stage 3 to take us into the big chorus, which of course, sonically, the amount of space it takes up is much larger than any other part of the track. It's not as energetic, but it is larger. It feels bigger and it feels more anthemic. I also mentioned that the chorus here, the vocals to the chorus are very catchy. This is just metalcore writing 101. And they do a fantastic job of that. The production's solid. The ideas are solid. The ending's kind of cheeky, like I said. They kind of have more of a traditional punky ending on it. Bringing the ideas down, allowing a beat of silence, seeming like they're going to come back in, and then just cutting it out. It's like 2 snare hits, and then a guitar tone, and then like a slide down the neck. And it feels so much like they're ready to introduce something new, but they can't. There's like 3 seconds left in the song. And so they just give us these 3 or 4 notes and then call it quits. It's fun. That's the only way I can perceive it, because otherwise it's meaningless. It's such a strange idea when you try to see what it means within the context of the song. But as just a fun little way to end it, completely devoid of the artistic element and more of the experiential element, it works from that perspective. Now, something I haven't done yet, because I typically don't do this on a first time listen, is read the lyrics. This is my first time seeing what the lyrics are for this track, so let me dive into that and see what's going on. The song is some sort of toxic relationship about our protagonist talking about how their strings have been pulled this entire time by this other person. Says, you possess a greedy soul and there's been no escape. I've been taken down by your control. Verse 2 says, you played your part. You really made us all believe it was from your heart, and we fell for your disease right from the start. You always knew how to bleed. You made an art of pulling all my crooked teeth. This idea of not necessarily putting our protagonist's best interests at heart, but the protagonist following along anyways. Now, interestingly, the chorus has a reversal of this and says, despite all of my following you around, I'm on my own. But there's a dark twist to this. It says, it's done. The nightmare's dead and gone. I'll just cut the ties that held me. You'll see I don't need anyone. It's this idea of that this relationship has hurt me so badly that it's removed my trust from anyone. Not just you, but I'll have a hard time trusting anyone again based on how well you blended in, how well you wore that mask. As verse 2 says, you really made us all believe it was from your heart. And yeah, so the chorus is just this full-on reversal. It's not I'm getting away from you, it's I'm getting away from everyone. I will only rely on myself from now on. The bridge talks about how this other person is going to have to deal with this, but that they even won't be able to survive time. It says, no way you can hide, no way to survive. Time will eat you alive, leaving you empty inside. Your guilt is going to be something that stays with you, and hopefully that's enough. But even if it isn't, you can't escape death. Eventually says, I've made up my mind. That goes into the guitar solo, and then we return back to the chorus. So yeah, it's a song about being hurt really bad by something. I don't even think this necessarily needs to be someone. It could be an experience of sorts. Um, Billboard. I don't know if this was an interview or maybe a review of it, but they state that this is the latest song written for Heaven and Hell and the only song fully created after the band had decided on breaking up. Indirectly, it became a song that is self-aware of Sum 41 coming to an end and about the situation following the decision. I wonder then if this isn't some sort of love-hate relationship with being in such a popular music group. Maybe it's popularity or fame that is this part of him that he's ready to divorce himself from. Maybe it's not about the lyricist at all. Maybe it's just a general breakup song about a toxic relationship. I don't know. There's not enough in here to really point fingers at who the other is, but I do think that's worth entertaining as a thought that it could be something beyond just another person. And it is an angry song. It is a song about being hurt. It is a song about wanting someone else to feel pain, to allow that guilt to eat them. And so the higher intensity of the song, I think, fits that really well, more so than maybe one of their punk pop anthems would have. That wraps it up for this one. These are my thoughts on Sum 41's I Don't Need Anyone. What are your thoughts, opinions, perspectives on this track? Throw all that down into the comments section. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree, which takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. We do have a special selection coming up next. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC. As usual, we're going to check out an entire album. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.